Hello again from Firefly Ministry. Well, I guess it's finally happened, but I'm not really sure which way. What am I talking about? It's this. I'm pretty sure winter's gone, but based on the last few days, I'm not sure if we're in full-fledged summer or if we're still transitioning through spring. But either way, because of an overabundance of rain sprinkled in with a few tornado warnings, I've already had to cut my grass twice, and now I'm in the midst of formulating the annual weed control strategy for Kim's flower beds and islands of plants. Now, all that being said, it's really good to just get outside and see life, both plants and animals, happening. Based on what I'm seeing so far, most everything survived the winter. By and large, the trees we planted last year, both fruit and shade, made it. One of the two beehives is alive with activity, and I've already performed a split to replace the one that I lost. Because I didn't have to go to work until 4 p.m. on Monday, I took the opportunity to visit the garden center in Ooltewah. I particularly wanted to go because they had just received their fruit trees, and I wanted to get there before they got all picked over. Or, as Kim would say, I wanted to get there before the hoarders got them. Well, whatever the case, I did have a few specific things that I was looking for, as well as just wanting to see what's new. In particular, I wanted to get a few pecan trees. Unfortunately, the inventory left a little to be desired. I don't know if it's just me, but I've really been having a hard time finding good-looking pecan trees. And to paraphrase an old Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a pecan tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is now. So I'd really like to get started. But not all trees take that long to produce fruit. Some trees I purchased today already had fruit on them. There were 3 varieties of peaches, another plum tree, and then a new one for me. It's called a plum cop, which, as its name implies, has a fruit that is a mixture of a plum and an apricot. But there was one tree that really caught my eye, the fruit cocktail tree. Reading the description of it made me think of the tree mentioned in Revelation 22, verses 1 and 2. Then he showed me a river of the water of life, clear as crystal, coming from the throne of God and the Lamb in the middle of the street. On either side of the river was the tree of life. And here's what I thought about when I read the description of the fruit cocktail tree. The Bible says that the tree bears 12 kinds of fruits, yielding its fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree were for the healing of the nations. Now, the fruit cocktail tree is not nearly as miraculous as the tree mentioned in Revelation 22. But believe it or not, it has 4 different fruits all on the same tree: peach, plum, nectarine, and apricot. I can't wait to see it, much less taste it. As I step back and look at the additions to what I've started calling my orchard, I'm impressed at how similar the trees look from that distance. Yet I know how different each one is. Not only the type of fruit, but some of these trees aren't even for me at all. They're to be enjoyed by the next generation. So how could this possibly relate to Pastor Fuller's message this week? It's entitled, First Stop, Gilgal. You may remember Gilgal as the first camp of Israel after crossing the Jordan into the Promised Land. We find that story in Joshua, the 4th chapter. Now that's their first stop after crossing the Jordan, but that's not the reason for Pastor Fuller's stopping there in his message this week. His purpose in stopping there is to allow us to join in and watch, as it were, as one generation passes to the next. The title also implies there's probably more than one stop, and that the starting point is different from the destination. As a matter of fact, sometimes we need to focus on where we are in the trip while remembering the final destination. And now, do you recall what I said earlier? From a distance, all the trees looked the same. But upon closer inspection, we see how strikingly different each one is. As Christians, the Gilgal of our trip is the moment of baptism. But from there, the only thing we share in common is the final destination. Each of our lives' paths are as different as the fruits on the trees in my orchard. This week, Pastor Fuller's message will help us to better understand our journey and the final destination. I want to invite you to join us in our sanctuary this Sabbath for Pastor Fuller's message, First Stop, Gilgal. But if you can't do that, be sure to join us either on Facebook or YouTube for this Sabbath's message. And until then, have a blessed week.